Hello again, it's Bev from Floresco Training, and today I wanted to talk about some simple self-care tips that can help us to just chill a little bit as we're going through this menopause transition, because sometimes it can be a bit tough on the old body and it can feel like our head's racing a lot of the time. And sometimes we just need to take a step back and focus on us and actually putting in place a few simple strategies, I guess, to help us to feel a little bit more calm. And the reason for this is when we're feeling a bit stressed, we get a cortisol response. We produce more cortisol being one of our stress hormones. And when we release cortisol, our body goes into its kind of fight or flight mode. So sometimes that's a good thing, especially if there's a real and present danger. But most of the time, there's not really anything that we need to be scared or anxious about. But our body doesn't know that. It's still in that sort of fight or flight condition. So we need to bring it back into that kind of rest and digest, calmer nervous system. And there are lots of things that you can do to focus on your own self-care. And I'm sure you've heard the analogy of, you need to put your oxygen mask on first, because you're no good to anybody if you're running out of oxygen. So we need to focus on ourselves first to be able to serve the other people around us the way we want to be able to. So I've got 7 kind of really simple and quite obvious strategies to help you just put a bit of self-care your way, to take a little bit of time for you to focus on you calming down and taking a bit of time to relax and unwind. The thing is, often it's the simple things that make the most difference, but we just don't do them. We don't prioritize them enough. So the first one is just read a book. Take a little bit of time away from social media, away from the computer, away from the television. Get a nice quiet place and just sit, even if it's only for 10 minutes. I know personally I really struggle to read, and it's because my brain is constantly on the go. But if I can kind of put myself in a position where just sitting down quietly, reading a book for 10 minutes, I can get absorbed in it and find that it blocks out everything else that's going on around me, so I can really focus on just feeling a little bit calmer. And sometimes it's as simple. The second tip is as simple as just sitting down and having a cup of tea or a coffee if that's what you prefer. But just, again, switching off from everything, not multitasking, not drinking the cup of tea while you're scrolling Facebook or having a cup of tea while you're watching this video. So once you finish this, go and have a cup of tea without any distractions. And maybe have it on your own, just sit with your cup of tea for a few minutes and just let your mind drift. Don't worry about all of the stresses that you might be ruminating on. Just enjoy the cup of tea, smell it, taste it, enjoy it. And of course, the third thing, as much as tea is very calming, we need to keep our body hydrated, especially if we're dealing with things like brain fog. Because when we're dehydrated, even just slightly, it impacts our cognitive function. So just making sure that we prioritise having a couple of litres of water every day means that it will help our skin, it will help our lymphatic system, it will just help our brain, it will help our cognition. There's so many benefits, and we sleep better when we're fully hydrated, we think better, and we just, our body systems work better. Tip number 4, get out in nature if you can. Even if it's just for 10 minutes a day, just get outside, walk in the garden, put your feet on the grass, or take yourself off for a walk in a park or somewhere where there's greenery around you. Ideally with maybe some animals in nature, if you can find somewhere where maybe there's sheep in fields, or you can hear the birds singing. And just, again, it's that mindfulness. Just go out and get into nature without any distractions. So not necessarily having a podcast on or an audio book or listening to music, but just without anything in your ears, just go and enjoy the feeling of being in nature and the smells and the sounds, and think about what you can see. And it doesn't need to be long, 10-15 minutes getting out in the fresh air can make a massive difference to our stress levels. I think it's really important as well. This is my tip number 5. Sometimes you just gotta chill, veg out in front of your favourite film or your favourite TV series and don't feel guilty about it. So often we feel so much guilt if we feel like there's a million things we ought to be doing. But sometimes just switching off, putting your favourite movie on, if it's something that makes you laugh, that's brilliant. Just take that time for you, guilt-free. Tip number 6, journal. I absolutely love taking just 5 or 10 minutes just to write down the things that I'm grateful for. Because sometimes in the stresses and the pace of the day, we can get so absorbed in all of the things that aren't great, we forget about the things that are great. So just spending 5 minutes writing in your journal 3 or 4 things that you're really grateful for that day. And it might be you're just grateful that you've taken the time to sit and write in your journal, or grateful that you have the time to watch a movie, or to find time to sit and have that cup of tea. And of course it might be something bigger than that you're grateful for. It doesn't really matter. It's the taking that little bit of time to focus on what's good. And the final tip number 7, is do make sure that you prioritise rest and sleep. It's not selfish to get enough rest, and sometimes we feel like we're constantly on the go, that we can't dare take a bit of time to switch off or step back or do something for us because we feel guilty. But make sure that you take that rest time. So that might be just making sure that you get a good night's sleep or get to bed earlier, or it might be that before bed you go and take yourself off and get into a nice warm bath and just switch off and unwind. But taking that rest time, that ability to just switch off and do nothing, can be so powerful. So there you go, that's my 7 self-care tips. It sounds a bit flippant sometimes, doesn't it? And there are lots and lots of ways, and there's certainly more to self-care than these simple tips. But hey, it's a great place to start. So I'd love to know, which of those do you think you need to do a bit more of? Which ones are you going to prioritise? Which ones are you going to go after you've watched this video and put straight into practice? Thank you so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed it, do hit the bell, subscribe. You'll get a new video every Monday, and you'll get a notification to let you know that it's been released. And talk to you all next week. Take care.